everyone, my name is Jane and welcome to my 2022 anticipated book releases. I'm so excited for today because I always wanted to make an anticipated book releases video. So I decided that in 2022, I will be doing quarterly anticipated releases. It means that today's video is going to be book releases between January and March of 2022. And it will be like this for the rest of the year. So I'm really excited. Now I have a lot of books to talk about today. Are you ready for it? 46 books. Yes, that's pretty crazy. So because of it, I won't be discussing all of the books. Some of them I will just mention quickly, so this video won't be really long. There is also a few sequels that I will mention really quickly, but I will be talking mostly about new release standalones or new series. I have a good variety of genres, like I have fantasy, romance, thrillers, like just everything from everything, which is exactly the way that I read, so I feel like this is fitting. But I'm just really excited to show you all of those books because there is going to be so many amazing new releases. I can decide what to pre-order and what not, and I made the GOODREADS shelf with all the new releases for the first quarter of 2022. So I will link the shelf and I will probably be adding more books that I will see. So you can see the full list in the shelf. And yes, I will just do it in a chronological order. So I think that let's start because there is a lot of books. So for January 1st, I have a YA thriller mystery, and this is The Girl Who Knew Too Much by Tiffany Brooks. This is described as survivors meet Lord of the Flies, and basically here we are following a girl that is going to a competition, but it's a deadly competition on an isolated island. It's supposed to be a TV reality show with cash prize, but I guess the dark things will happen, and I feel like it's just so interesting. Like, I personally love reality TV shows, and I really love those concepts also in books, and it just sounds like a really fun book to read. Now in January 4th, we have something like 6 books that are releasing in the same day. The first one is When You Get the Chance by Emma Lord. I'm pretty sure that this is Emma Lord adult debut. This is basically a romance contemporary story, and Emma Lord is the author of Tweet Cute and You Have a Match. I really love her writing, so I'm really excited to get into the story. And the main character of the story basically dreams to be a star, but she is living with her father, and her father doesn't want her to live to pursue her dream. So she's basically trying to find her mother, to have another ally and someone who will support her in this career. Just sounds really cute. And again, I really love Emma Lord writing. I'm really interested to see what she's going to do with an adult romance and not a YA romance. And yes, it sounds so cute and the cover is really pretty. The next book is another mystery thriller, and this is Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. I never read something by Rachel Hawkins, although I heard good things about her books. She is the author of The Wife Upstairs and Her Royal Highness and a lot of other books, and this is described as deliciously wicked gothic suspense set on an isolated Pacific island with dark history. And it sounds to me like a thriller, but a pretty summery thriller, because we're following characters that are going into a vacation in some kind of island, and the 2 main characters of the story are the ones that are hired to sail the people who are visiting this island, and it just sounds like really summer thriller, and I'm really excited to check things by Rachel Hawkins, so I feel like this will be a great chance to finally do it. The next book is a YA fantasy book that I'm really excited about, and this is Echoes and Empires by Morgan Rhodes. Morgan Rhodes is the author of the Fallen Kingdom series. I read the first book in high school and I really loved it, but this is her first book in her new fantasy duology, so I'm really excited to read it and to see what she's going to do in the new world. Basically, we're following a 7-year-old teenager, and she needs to team up with a criminal to cure herself of a dangerous forbidden magic. So she has some sort of forbidden magic and she needs to cure herself from this magic. And yes, it just sounds really good, and I already enjoyed Morgan Rhodes' writing in the past, so I'm really excited to check it. And also the cover is really gorgeous. The next book is a romance book, and this is Love at First Sight by Anna E. Collins, and it sounds like such a cute book. We are basically following an interior designer, and she's teaming up with an architect to basically build a new house next to her ex house, and her goal is to build a spite house because she hates her ex and she has a lot of spite to her ex. And it just sounds like a really cute story about interior design, and just sounds really cute. I really love interior design, and I never read a book with an interior design character, and just sounds like a really fun rom-com. Now the next book has a gorgeous cover, and this is It Will End Like This by Kira Lee. This is basically a YA horror story, and I love YA horror books. And it sounds really interesting because basically it says that for the fans of the cheerleaders and Sadie comes a psychological thriller that reminds us that in real life, endings are rarely as neat as happily ever after. And basically we are following two sisters that their mother passed away 6 months ago, and they don't believe in the reason why she died, and both of them are trying to find out what is the real truth, especially because their father is starting to date a new young woman, and it just sounds really good. And yes, I just love YA horror stories, and the cover is gorgeous. And the last book for January 4th is Serendipity. Now this is interesting. It's not the sort of books that I usually read because it's a short stories collection about romance tropes or something like this. Now the thing is that Marissa Mayer, which is one of my most favorite authors, she's the author of the Lunar Chronicles, Renegaders, Heartless, a lot of great books. She's the one who did the editing for the book, and there is just a lot of authors. I'm pretty sure that I know a lot of those authors. I'm not sure if I will check it, but it is by a lot of pretty well-known authors, so it's really interesting. Maybe I will check it. Now we are going to January 11. There is 2 books in this slate, and the first one is a very interesting thriller mystery, and this is A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. This book was already signed for a movie or a TV show, so that's really interesting. Basically, we're following a woman that when she was 12, her father was accused of murdering 6 teenage girls, and he was put into jail, but now, a lot of years later, there is new cases that look the same as the murders that happened a lot of years ago, and she's trying to reveal the real murderer. Just a book that I see a lot of people talk about recently, so I'm really excited to get into it, and I will definitely be reading it. And the second book in the same day is another rom-com, and this is Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon. We are following a TV meteorologist, not sure how to say it, and a sports reporter, so that's already really interesting because I never read a book about TV meteorologist. Rachel Lynn Solomon is the author of The X-Talk, and yes, I'm not really sure what it's about. It seems like the sport reporter is her ex-husband or something like this. It's just supposed to be a really fun rom-com. I feel like it will be perfect for the winter, so that's interesting. Now on January 18, there is the new book of Colleen Hoover, Reminders of Him. I love Colleen Hoover. She's one of my most favorite authors, so this is one of my most anticipated releases of 2022. I'm so excited for this book. Now basically we are following a woman that was 5 years at prison because of some mistake that she made, and now she is getting out of prison and she's trying to reunite with her really small daughter that she didn't trace. Honestly, I don't want to know anything except it. It already sounds really heartbreaking, and Colleen Hoover always makes me cry. I'm just so excited for this book because, again, Colleen Hoover is one of my most favorite authors, so I really can't wait to actually get this book already. The next book is a thriller, and this is Real Easy by Mary Rotosky. This is basically a thriller that is set in a Midwestern strip club. I never read something that is set in a strip club. I'm pretty sure that this is also sapphic, which is nice. And yes, it looks cute. I heard a lot of people already talk about it, so it seems like a lot of people already know this new release. I personally don't know the author, but the premise sounds really interesting. And next we have another interior design rom-com, and this is How to Love Your Neighbor by Sophie Sullivan. It sounds so cute because the main character of the story is an interior designer, and she is getting an opportunity to fix up a house near the beach, and then she can live in that house. So everything looks perfect until she is moving to that house to fix it, and then she's meeting her neighbor and she don't like him, so it's supposed to be enemies to lovers, and it just sounds so cute. I love all the interior design rom-coms that are going to be out, and it's definitely a book that I will be checking out. It just sounds like a really fun time. And the last book for January will be out in January 25, and this is The Red Palazar by June Hoare. She is the author of The Forest of Stolen Girls, and this is basically an historical thriller mystery, which already sounds really interesting. And basically we are following a woman in Joseon, Korea in the year of 1758, but we are following a woman that is going to be a nurse in a really big palazar, and she's trying to be quiet and stay low, but then one night someone kills 5 other women that are working in this palazar. So this main character is trying to understand what is happening and if she is in danger or not, and it just sounds really interesting. I don't read a lot of historical fictions, but I really want to read more in 2022, and it just feels like a really cool premise. Like, I'm definitely really interested to check this book. And yes, those were the January releases. Now we are going to February new releases. The first ones are on February 1st, and the first book is Good Girl Complex by Elle Kennedy. I'm so excited for this book because Elle Kennedy is the author of The Deal, the in-campus series. I read the first book in high school and I loved it, and I'm really interested to check more things by her. And this is her new standalone romance release. It just sounds like the exact romance stories that I really love. She is a really people pleaser and she always tries to be the best in what she is doing, and her dream is to grow her internet business, but she has to do a degree at college because of parents, and she is moving to her parents to a beachside town to be there in their college, and it just sounds like a really fun coming of age story. It looks pretty summery to me, and yes, I'm really interested to check more things by Elle Kennedy, so I will definitely be checking this book. Then we have This Woven Kingdom by Tara Murphy. Tara Murphy is the author of the Shatter Me series, so this is the first book in our new series, and this series is based on Persian mythology, which already sounds interesting. And this is supposed to be a trilogy with clashing empires, forbidden romance, and long-forgotten queen designed to save our people. It sounds really good. Maybe I will check it because I did enjoy Shatter Me when I read it when I was little. So I'm really interested to see what Tara Murphy is going to do in a new world, as it's going to be really different from Shatter Me. And the last book on February 1st is another YA thriller mystery, and this is These Deadly Games by Diana Orban. Diana Orban is the author of All of Your Twisted Secrets. I have a lot of mixed feelings about this book, but I am very interested to check also her new book. Her premises always sounds so good, and basically we're following a teenager that one day gets a call of someone who kidnapped her sister, and this someone makes her play a game and makes her to complete a lot of tasks, because if she won't complete those tasks, this man will kill her sister. So of course it starts as small simple tasks, but I guess that it will just go to really deadly tasks. It just sounds like a really interesting premise, and I think it will be really fun. Now on February 8th we have one new release, and this is another of my most anticipated releases, and this is Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes and Stacey Cade. Basically this is a horror sci-fi story. It sounds amazing. I don't read a lot of sci-fi, but I really want to get more into sci-fi, especially because when I read it I usually really enjoy it, and this story is described as the Titanic meets The Shining. This already sold me out because I didn't read The Shining, but I love those kind of books of haunted house stories, and for me The Titanic is one of my most favorite movies. And basically we are following a crew that is going to a spaceship or something like this. I honestly don't want to know too much. It already intrigues me so much. Definitely a new release that I'm really waiting for. And now on February 15 we have a few new releases, and the first one is The House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas, and this is the second book in the Crescent City series. I still didn't read the first book, but a lot of people are really excited for the second book, and I think the cover is really gorgeous. I really love the aesthetic of the series so far. And then we have another YA romance contemporary, and this is All the Right Reasons by Bethany Mengel, and this sounds so interesting. It's another book about reality show, and it's described as The Bachelor meets Gilmore Girls, and basically the main character of the story is a teenager that joins her mother in a dating reality show for single parents, and she is falling for one of the sons of the other contestants, and just sounds really cute, and I really love the premise and just the whole idea of a dating reality TV show that the main character is going to with her mother, and just sounds really cute, and I will be definitely checking this out. Now we have another release at the same day, and this is 1,000,001 by Adibe J. Girdar. Now it's really interesting because it says that it's going to be released in February 15. Maybe the release date was pushed, but by GOODREADS this is the release date, but there isn't a cover, although it's going to be released in 2 months. And the reason that it sounds really interesting is because this book is described as a sapphic heist on the Titanic. You already know that I really love the Titanic, and a heist on the Titanic sounds really good. So I'm not sure if this book will be actually released in February, but there is already a lot of really good reviews about this story, and the premise sounds amazing. And lastly, on February 22, there is a few really exciting releases, and the first one is another one of my most anticipated releases, and this is Ecstasia by Claire Lagarde. Claire Lagarde is the author of Foreborn and of Soccer Girls, and Ecstasia is basically a YA horror story. I didn't read Foreign, but I did read So Kill Girls, which is another YA horror story, and I really enjoyed the writing, so I'm really excited for this book. Also, the cover looks gorgeous, but also the premise sounds amazing because this is basically about a girl who joins a coven to root out a vicious evil that is stalking her village. So she's basically trying to save her village and she's joining a coven, and it just sounds so interesting. Again, YA horror is one of my most favorite genres that I discovered this year, so I'm really excited for this. I already pre-ordered this and I really can't wait for this book to be already released. At the same day, there is also The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. Lucy Foley wrote The Guest List, The Hunting Party, a lot of pretty popular books. I read The Guest List and I really enjoyed it, so I'm really interested to check more things by Lucy Foley. And basically we're following a woman and she broke, she is alone, she don't have a job, so she's deciding to go to stay with her brother at his Paris apartment. And when she's getting to his apartment, she's finding out that her brother is missing, and also the apartment is really big and she can't understand how her brother can afford this apartment. So it sounds really interesting and I can't wait to check it out. Now we have a YA fantasy standalone, and this is The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by XEO. The reason that I'm really interested to check this book is because XEO is the author of XOXO, which is a romance contemporary K-pop story, so it sounds to me like really different genres, so I'm really excited to see how her writing is going to be in a fantasy story. This premise sounds really interesting because we're following a homeland where a lot of floods started to sweep entire villages and just to drown them, and the people who live in this world believe that the sea god is basically mad on them, and because of it, each year they are sacrificing one girl and they are throwing her to the sea to basically make her to be the new bride of the sea god, and they are hoping that one day the true bride will be found and that the sea god will stop drawing all of the villagers. And the main character of the story is a teenager, a really pretty girl, and now she's thinking that she's going to be the next one who is going to be sacrificed. And yes, the premise sounds amazing, so I'm really excited to check it. And the last February release is Only a Monster by Vanessa Len. This is the first book in a new series. It's planned to be a trilogy. It's also a debut, and it's described as the romance of the passengers and the dark fantasy of the Savage Song. I'm pretty sure that this is an urban fantasy. Yes, it's an urban fantasy, and basically she's going to a summer vacation with her family in London, and everything looks perfect at first, but then she's finding out that her family are monsters or something like this. And yes, like it's a new YA urban fantasy. It already makes me want to check it out and to see if I will like it or not. And I think the cover looks really good. And yes, now we're finished with the February releases. Let's get to the last month, March. We have a ton of books that are releasing on March 1st. The first one is Gallant by V. Schwab. This is our new YA fantasy. It's supposed to be a standalone, and from what I get, it's also supposed to be a horror, so it sounds to me like a dark fantasy. It's already really intriguing to me because V. Schwab have so many books, so I'm really interested to check her new book. And basically we're following a girl that is learning in a private school, a boarding school, so she lives there, and then she's getting a letter that invites her to go back to her home and to her family. But when she is arriving there, there isn't anyone in the home. It's already interesting enough for me because it's from V. Schwab, so I will definitely be checking this out. Then we have a thriller mystery, and this is The Night Shift by Alex Finley. And basically in this story, 15 years ago, one day in a night shift, 4 girls that are working in the night shift are being attacked, and only one of them is getting out alive of this attack. And now 15 years later, in the same town, there is again 4 teenage employees that are working late in an ice cream store, and they're being attacked, and probably only one of them will get out alive. It just sounds really cool, like a really good thriller, definitely a thing that I usually enjoy from. Then we have another YA paranormal fantasy, and this is Edgewood by Christine Ciccarelli. Honestly, I don't know anything about this book. The cover already made me so intrigued to check it out and to add it to this list. Okay, so it seems like we are following a teenager that lives in a town. Near the town there is woods, and there is a lot of fallen folklore and fairy tales about this wood that just seem really creepy and scary, but then the grandfather of the main character is getting disappeared and she needs to go to these woods to understand what happened. It says that this is a hunting and romantic story, so it sounds like a haunted romance story. It looks really cool and the cover is gorgeous. Then we have a high fantasy, and this is 1,000 Steps into Night by Tracy G. This is supposed to be a Japanese-inspired high fantasy story, and it is standalone, which is already really interesting because usually high fantasy stories are a part of a series. And basically we are following a world where there is monsters, god, a lot of things exist, along humans, and the main character of the story is just a regular girl who is the innkeeper's daughter, and everything was okay until one day she's getting cursed and she's turning into a demon. Now she needs to understand how to remove this curse out of her, and it just sounds really cool. It's already a high fantasy standalone. I'm sure it's going to be pretty popular, and also the cover is really pretty, so I will be definitely checking this out. Now we have another romance contemporary, and it sounds so cute. This is Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter, and basically it's pretty simple, but the main character of the story one day gets a message from the wrong number, and then she and the man who texted her by mistake are starting to talk. Just sounds like a really cute romance story. I already read a book in the past that the two main characters were talking only in text without knowing each other, and just sounds really cool, really fun rom-com. Now we have a YA contemporary fiction that I actually want to be checking out, but I really want to talk about it because this is All My Rage by Sabateir. Sabateir is the author of an Ember in the Ashes series, and this is her first contemporary, which is really interesting. It's really different from what she was writing as a fantasy author, and this is just supposed to be about family and forgiveness and love. I will probably want to be checking it out because I didn't really love an Ember in the Ashes, but I really wanted to mention it because I'm sure that if you loved Ember in the Ashes, you will be checking this out, and it looks really interesting. I really love when authors try to write in a different genre. It's also interesting. And the last book for March 1st is Hook, Line and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. This is the first book of It Happened One Summer, which was my most favorite romance new release that I read in 2021. Now basically in this story we are following the sister of the main character of the first story. So from what I understand, those two books can be read as standalones, but I'm just really excited to get into it. I loved It Happened One Summer so much, and I'm already anticipating these books for months. I will probably be waiting for the audiobook, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be released in the summer, so I will probably won't read it in March, but I'm still really excited, and I'm so happy that this book is going to be released. Now on March 8th, we have another thriller mystery, and this is The Golden Couple by Rear Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. I actually only read my first book by those authors this week, and I really enjoyed it. It was really thrilling, so I'm really excited to check also the new release. And here we are basically following a couple, and their wife cheated her husband. Now both of them are going to a psychologist to basically try to save their marriage, and the psychologist that they are going to is a woman that is known to be amazing in her sessions, and she's basically curing up everyone who is going to her sessions. But then when this couple is getting to her, something happens, and it's supposed to be a psychological thriller. It sounds really interesting, and I'm really interested to check it because I already read things by those authors, and I also think that the premise sounds really cool. Now on March 15, we have two books. The first one is another thriller mystery, and this is 9 Lives by Peter Swenson. Peter Swenson is the author of a lot of popular thriller books: The Kind Worth Killing, A Perfect Murders, Everywhere You Break, just a lot of books. And basically we are following 9 people. Those 9 people one day got in the mail a list of 9 names. All of their names, it just seemed really weird, and nobody of them knew from who this list is. But then the people on this list are starting to die one after the other, so the people who are left from this list are trying to understand what has happened and what they can do to save themselves. So the premise sounds really interesting, and I'm really interested to check it. So let's see what Peter Swenson's new release is going to be. And now we have another thriller mystery. I'm pretty sure that this is also a horror, and this is The Book of Cold Cases by Simon S.T. James. Basically we're following a woman that is running a true crime blog, and now she is investigating 2 cold cases, and basically it's about a woman that was accused of murdering 2 people, but then she didn't go to jail, and now she is isolated in her mansion, and the main character of the story, the true crime blogger, is trying to understand what happened in those cold cases releases, and she's going to interview this woman. I saw a lot of people already talking about this new release, so it seems like it's going to be pretty popular. I'm not sure if it's a horror or not, but it does sound interesting, so maybe I will be checking this out. And now we got to the two final books of this video, and those two books are in March 29. The first one is another sequel, and this is Four Aunties and a Wedding by Jess Q. Santano. This is the sequel for Dial A, Four Aunties, which I really loved. This is basically a cozy mystery, and I almost don't read cozy mysteries. I tried other cozy mysteries and I didn't like them, but this one I really loved. It was really amazing, and also the reviews are really good. Like, I really recommend this book. And basically in the previous book we followed a woman that is working with her family in a wedding business, but now in this book, in the sequel, the wedding is the wedding of the main character, and I don't know anything except it. I just know that it's going to be so much fun and so much enjoyable, and I really wait for it. And last but not least, we have another thriller mystery, and this is The Long Weekend by Gilly Macmillan. It's maybe also a horror, I'm not sure, but basically we're following a few couples that are going together into a perfectly isolated retreat in some kind of barn. It's just supposed to be a really fun weekend for them to enjoy, and then the women are getting to this cabin before their husbands, and everything seems okay at first until they found a note that says that one of the husbands has been killed, and this perfect retreat just becomes a horror story. I love books about isolated places, and it seems like this is a pretty much locked room mystery. Like, I'm pretty sure that they are going to be locked in this cabin, but the premise sounds really good, and it definitely makes me really want to check it out. And yes, finally, those are my anticipated releases for the first quarter of 2022. I'm so excited about them. A lot of them are releases that I'm so excited for, and releases that I'm so anticipating. There's just so many great new releases, and I can't wait for 2022. It's going to be definitely an amazing reading year. I really hope that you find this video helpful and that you find new releases that are interesting for you. Again, I will link the Goodreads shelf so you can check all of the new releases, and I will be adding more new releases. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye everyone!